Hello and welcome everyone. This is Type V3 with a Figma review of Rin Tohsaka 2.0, the master of Archer in the 5th Holy Grail War from the anime series Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. Unlike most renditions of Rin, this Figma ditches the character's iconic red outfit and opts for her school uniform instead. It's a look that almost immediately will decide whether this figure interests you or not. Regardless, it looks great and it's accurate to the ones seen on screen. Of course, it does help that the outfit isn't the most complicated design by far, still it has its share of highlights. The red lining is crisp and the looseness of the sleeves offer a relaxed look. Seam lines in the vest blend well with the layered materials used in the collar and shirt. The silhouette and proportions of this figure are about what you'd expect from Rin, with no real deviations. It's a simple figure overall, but the aesthetics remain clean and classic. The head sculpt on this Figma is just about perfect. The likeness of the face captures all of Rin's charm, while the complexity of the hair sculpting evokes the character's fiery tenacity. Although her hairbands could have been a little darker. For face options, there's 3 in total. You get a smiling expression, a shouting face, and an embarrassed look. Disappointingly, you don't get a snobbish, stuck-up expression. You know, the one look Rin's most known for having. Additionally, there's a pair of glasses attached to a secondary fringe piece, which is compatible with all the face options. Strange inclusion considering how these were rarely used in the anime. In terms of size, Rin 2.0 stands at the expected 5¼ inch mark. More importantly, she seems to scale well with the other 2.0 Fate Stay Night Figmas. Rin's articulation starts with the standard Figma neck setup, so you have a hinge with 2 pegs, goes up and down, you have some pretty great tilting, it moves every way with no impediment because the hair back here, despite having no joints, this is a soft piece right in the center, as well as this larger piece. It's soft at the top and then moves into a harder plastic, so it has this natural bend to it, which is really nice. It doesn't hold any positions, but when you move her neck, it will allow for that slight flexibility. Each of these sections of hair are on a standard Figma setup, so these will just swivel and hinge in any direction you want to, so it accommodates real flowing positions quite nicely. The torso itself doesn't really have any joints that are usable, so it's mostly stiff, but there is a nice rollable ball joint at the waist, so you do get the side to side and then some decent ab crunch and back rotation. So it's pretty good all around there. For the arms, you have a barbell joint right at the shoulder connection, but you also have a really great telescopic shoulder joint, and it actually extends out much farther than I would have expected, more than this figure probably needs, but it's really good and I'm not going to complain. You also have a built-in bicep swivel right at the shoulder, so it moves well enough, pretty good rotation in all directions. Single joint at the elbow, it's a bit weak and impeded because of all the looseness of the sleeve, so you only get about 90 degrees. And then because these wrist cuffs are so large, they do sort of stop the ball hinge wrist, so there are moments where it can be a little tough to get certain hand poses going on. Rin's lower body doesn't deviate from the standard Figma setup, so you do have a ball joint at the hip with a built-in thigh swivel, so it works pretty well. You do have a single joint at the knee, and then a hinge with a pivot for the ankle, so you have some pretty good ankle rocking. There is no toe joint. The one thing I will mention is this skirt. It looks like this giant, huge piece that's gonna sort of stop movement, and for the most part it does, but it is also very flexible, and it's made of this really very soft plastic, so if you want, you can even get her to sit. I mean, it'll be a bit tough to do just because of the back section, but you can fold it all together, and it will still accommodate some pretty flexible poses. Rin utilizes all the basic features of the 2.0 Figma body to great effect. Limitations do exist, most notably with her skirt, yet she can still perform a wide variety of poses. Accessories start with the typical Figma inclusions. There's a Figma bag, display stand, and hand rack, on which you'll find open palms, generic gripping hands, pointing fingers, and mage casting hands. Having these command spells printed on all the right hands was a nice touch too. There's a secondary left forearm with the sleeve rolled up to reveal her Magus sigil. It easily replaces the existing forearm and provides the figure with a more convincing attack pose. Furthermore, there's translucent effect parts which let you accurately display Rin casting her grander spell. It's a very simple setup, and despite the size, there's no weight issues to worry about. Finally, this figure includes a pair of slippers. Why? Well, why not? After all, this is a schoolgirl and you don't ever wear your outdoor shoes inside the school premises. They're painted nicely and exchanging them out is easy too. If anything, they add a little more color to the figure's earthy tones. At this point, I will say I'm slightly surprised that this figure didn't include Rin's long red coat in some way or another. Just seems like a missed opportunity to me, especially as she only ever wore it over her school uniform. Let's make one thing clear here. The concept behind Figma Tohsaka 2.0 is an odd one. Like many Fate Stay Night fans, I was excited at GoodSmile's announcement of a redone Rin figure, yet the final product that's been pushed out feels like it's come from out of left field. Here we have a character sporting a not-so-popular outfit with face options that don't truly capture the spirit of the character and a strange selection of accessories. Don't get me wrong, I'm all in for the shoes and glasses, still I would have rather had gems, her pendant, and better facial expressions first. As a whole, this entire package seems like it was conceived as a convention-exclusive item rather than a mass retail release. At the very least, this is a figure aimed for the die-hard Fate Stay Night fans. Now, if you do fall into that group, rest assured what you do have here is a pretty great Figma. Again, the outfit isn't my personal preferred preference, even so, with everything here you do get a good variety of display options. More than that, I can't really fault the toy for anything that it's not trying to accomplish. Now, while GoodSmile and Max Factory have mentioned nothing of it, I'm sure that eventually we'll see a 2.0 Rin Tohsaka in more familiar clothing with more relevant accessories. However, until then, this rendition of Rin is great, and will serve as a suitable stand-in. It's not quite what I wanted, and it's a little different. Still, you know what? That's okay. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching, and now that we're done covering the complexities of a teenaged girl, let's move on to something simpler, like say, a hero of justice.